morning, or good evening to wherever this finds you. Welcome to the Fun Hog Pod with your hosts, Matt Cook and Butch Mayhew. Let's let that fun ensue. Hello! So glad to see your face and to hear your voice. I haven't heard your voice yet. Say something.
Hi, Butch. My name's Matt.
Hi. It's nice to hear you. Thank you for all the listeners that are joining us today. All four of you. We appreciate you. Today we are talking about noodles. I'm really excited about this. Are you excited?
I don't know which direction Noodles is going to go. I can't remember. I'm choking on peanut butter pretzels that I just had. Have you ever had peanut butter pretzels from the Costco Big Pack?
I have not. I need to try those.
Man.
Yeah, I'm always looking for new Costco buys.
Bet you can't eat just one. That's pretty challenging.
I bet I can't. I do go with the Aldi. The Aldi's definitely budget. It's like $4 for a huge bag. It's great.
And I feel like Costco's also budget. It's like $8 for a huger bag.
Yeah, you just have to. It's a bigger commitment, is
Right.
what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, Costco really is all about commitment. There's no, I got into like the breakfast. It was like the avocado packs. I think I got a 36 pack. I was more of a 5 kind of guy.
Oh, buddy.
So got to be careful overdoing it.
You got to be careful. Yeah, the things expire. You be good to the environment, to people that don't have. All right. Well, I've got some fantastic news. At some point in the next few minutes, we're going to have a guest join us. It'll be the first guest on this podcast as we talk about noodles, that being the topic. But before we get going, and here's the deal. As soon as they get here, we're going to dive in to just chat with him for a couple minutes, and then we'll tell him goodbye, and then we'll pick back up where we left off.
Great.
So let's jump in. Do you have a fun hug moment of the week?
I do. My youngest son, Tucker, turned 8 this week, actually on Monday. And for his birthday, he got a boomerang.
Not like a little plastic one that only goes like 3 feet, like a real one.
Definitely not like a 3-foot one. I do believe it's like a composite material, so maybe plastic, but
not like a little thing you get from the dentist office.
It's a legit boomerang, and I would like to suggest that boomerangs should replace kites as the thing that everybody has. I had lots of kite experiences as a kid. It's kind of cool. It's fun, like getting the kite up in the air, but then once it gets up in the air, you just kind of watch it, and then you got to pull it down. That's not very fun.
I mean, have you ever flown a kite that like lifts you off the ground?
No, I've never done
those
that.
exist. That's a different experience. But go ahead. Boomerangs are.
Yeah, I think boomerangs should be the default fun toy for kids. So Tucker got it. I mean, we took it in the backyard, just threw it a couple of times. Just a really fun flight pattern. It goes, 25 feet up in the air and curves back around. And he has already completed his first catch, which is just awesome. You throw it and catch. I was doing some journaling in my bedroom this morning, and I just heard screaming from the backyard. This is about 7:45. Jackson, what? We've got a guest.
Jackson. Welcome.
How's it going, Matt? Butch?
All right. Well, welcome to the Fun Hog Podcast. You have no idea what you're signing up for. I just said, hey, I know you know a little bit about noodles. You should come and join us on this podcast. We'll have a short little interview with you and a conversation, and then you can have a good day after that. But welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jackson, and I am a 26-year-old and data analyst at Tilde. And in my free time, I've gotten into baking and cooking more over the past year. And one of the things I've gotten into cooking is homemade noodles.
Okay.
Perfect guess.
Have you had a long history of cooking, or is this pretty new to you?
It's to the like I said, yeah, to the level I've been doing it, I'd say it's new. Like I've always kind of enjoyed just like making stuff here and there in the past, but this is really where like the first time I've really like started getting into like really making stuff from scratch, whether that's desserts, breads, definitely more on like the baking side of things. Um, yeah, so it's definitely a little bit newer of a hobby, I guess, but I've really enjoyed it.
Well,
Awesome. Who's your source of cooking inspiration?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess I did always see my dad cooking growing up, and so and I just always enjoyed the stuff he made. So I guess some inspiration definitely goes to him. And yeah, just wanting to also make good stuff like he does.
oh man, that is special. It's real special. Well, you are on a podcast where our topic is noodles. So please do tell us your favorite noodle making method. I don't know. I've never made noodles. I know I've seen somebody spin something that and something happens, but I have no idea. Walk us through how you'd go about making the best noodle you can.
So for me, when I did start getting more into baking and cooking, I decided to buy a stand mixer just because I knew that would come in handy for a lot of stuff. And that seemed to be pretty good for making noodles. 'Cause, I mean, it definitely helps with the mixing side of things, but it's also nice because you can get the attachments that you put on the front. So instead of having to crank the roller or cutter by hand, the mixer will do it for you. Um, but yeah, so
Automation, baby.
when I'm starting out everything, I'll get all the ingredients I'll need just laid out on the counter. And normally you'll do a 1-to-1 ratio of flour to egg. So if you do one egg, you're going to do 1 cup of flour. So yeah, one of the first things I learned when I made pasta for the first time was the amounts can be deceptive because when I was looking at the recipe, I was like, oh yeah, like this will be perfect for 2 people, maybe what I have a little bit of leftovers, and it probably made enough to feed a group of 10 or 15. It makes a deceptive amount of noodles. So that was a good lesson to learn from the start. But yeah, once I have everything, I'll put the flour into the stand mixer first and make a little bit of a kind of like a bowl in the middle, and then put the eggs into that bowl, and then slowly let just on a low setting, let the stand mixer get everything mixed together until you have just your one lump of dough without any big floury clumps or runny parts from eggs. And that getting the dough right is definitely important, because if you get it, if it's too dry, it'll crumble apart as you're trying to roll it out and cut it. But if it's too wet, it just turns into a sticky mess when you're trying to also roll and cut it. Yeah, that happened on my second attempt, and it was just not fun to deal with it, getting stuck in the roller over and over. And so, I mean, the good thing is, if it's too dry, you can always add a little bit of water back into it and fix it. And same, if it's too wet, you can try and fix it with a little extra flour. But so once you have your main lump of dough, you're going to want to cut it into smaller pieces. It depends on how much you make, but generally you can just cut it into quarters. And then from there, you'll start with your roller on the widest setting possible, and just slowly feed it through, move down a setting, feed it through, and just kind of repeat the process till you have the desired thickness you're looking for in your noodle. And then once you have that, you'll have these long sheets of just pasta. And after that, then you'll start feeding it through the cutter. And as you're taking it off the cutter, it's good, definitely add more flour. Because if you don't, and the noodles will start sticking to each other. So when you go to actually cook them, they'll just kind of cook as a clump and not the individual noodles.
It'll be like a ramen noodle. They're all together, all mashed together.
And so, once you add some extra flour after cutting it, then you'll kind of curl it into almost like a C that loops back over on itself, and set it off to the side. And you'll want to make sure to cover it with either some plastic wrap or like a wet tea towel, because otherwise it'll dry out very quickly and not cook well. But so once you've done that, you're good to go. And as long as you've got water boiling, you need to cook them for maybe 60 to 90 seconds. Just very quick in and out, and you're good to go with a fresh batch of noodles.
Oh, buddy. I just felt like I went to school. I went to
Yeah.
like, 5 minute school with Jackson. It's wonderful.
That seems more approachable than I imagined. So if my current kind of culinary skill level is peanut butter and jellies, and I mean I grill occasionally. Yeah, do you think I should just go straight for noodles, or is there a transition plan for?
I think noodles are a good point to start at.
Okay.
Especially even if you don't have a stand mixer, the other way you can do it is, you'll put your flour on the counter and do the same thing where you'll make a bowl in the middle, and then you'll put your eggs into the bowl you've made, and just slowly with a fork just mix in the flour around the edge of the bowl into the egg, and just as it gets more and more mixed together, you'll slowly see that dough start to form, and then once you have that, you'll put the fork aside and just transition to kneading by hand. So I mean, it's still definitely a little more physical labor on that side, but yeah, I mean, very very approachable even for someone who might not be familiar with kind of the baking or cooking side of that.
Very nice. For your noodles, do you go with like the long, skinny spaghetti noodles, or are you going with like what, linguine? That's like a type of noodle, right? Fettuccine, or is that's a little maybe?
Yep. So I normally go with just your basic spaghetti, but I've also done the linguine noodles a few times, and those are definitely good. And the other thing you can do is if you don't put it in the cutter, you can just use the sheets that you make as lasagna noodles. And so you kind of have some options there. And then I know you can try and get fancy and cut the sheets and roll them and do whatever to make your I'm blanking on what type of pasta it is, but rigatoni, that's what it.
Nice.
So yeah, you can try and get fancy and do that, but I've just been mainly sticking to spaghetti or linguine.
And I'm assuming that dough, as you roll it out, it's all like still loosey goosey. It's not like the spaghetti you buy that you have to like break
No,
out of the
it's
package, right?
still loose and like very I don't know, foldable and easy to work with.
Nice.
'Cause, I mean, if you want to, you can use a pasta hanger to let them dry and kind of turn them into what you would buy in the store. But I think it ends up working out better to either just cook them fresh or to freeze them. Just because I think you're still on a pretty limited time frame, even if you hang them out to dry for how long they'll be good.
Very nice. Very nice. You got any other questions?
Yeah, I have several more questions. So we talked about kind of homemade noodles. If you're in the mood for noodles but you don't want to cook them, what type of restaurants are you looking for? Who's got good noodles? We want the scoop.
I'll say there's a place in town called Sophia's that does really good, kind of like I guess authentic Italian, and they've got some pretty good pasta options.
And you said scoop, but like, what's that tool that you use to like pick up the noodles? It's like it looks like like a spoon fork, but it's not a spork. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't. It's probably got a different name, but it's like a ladle of some sort.
Yeah, it's some kind of ladle. It's like a noodle ladle. I'm trying to combine the words. I can't. Did you figure it out? I don't know what that is. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I was Googling for it. Yeah, I loosely. I don't even like watch cooking much. Do you watch a lot of cooking shows, Jackson?
Here and there, but honestly, I've really been primarily watching stuff on YouTube just because there are so many people out there, and if you find people you like, I mean, they generally have like a pretty frequent content schedule. And so, I mean, there's one guy I'll watch, and he does a lot of stuff from TV shows or movies. So, trying to think, I know, one I saw the other day is from the kids show Bluey. He does like a cake from one of the episodes. and different things like that. So that's one that's really cool to watch of just taking stuff from pop culture and trying to recreate the recipe.
Who's that creator?
That's Binging with Babish.
Cool.
Check the show notes. There's a link.
Yeah. Are you a big Bluey watcher?
I've seen a few episodes here and there. I heard that dogs tend to like it, and so every so often I'll put it on when I'm leaving the house and want to put something on for my dog. And I mean, he doesn't seem to dislike it, and he'll stare at it pretty intently. So I mean, I don't know, you can at least tell what's going on.
I like it. I didn't know that the dogs differentiated between show types. So
I think I saw something about how that one, almost all the colors in it are like colorblind safe, and so actually like the dogs are able to see most of what's being shown, which might help a little with the engagement, just since they can kind of actually see what it is.
very
There
cool.
it is. If you want your dogs to watch TV, make it colorblind friendly. So coming back to the spaghetti spoon, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it spaghetti spoon in the future, but it's also known as a pasta fork, a pasta ladle, or a pasta spoon. But I'm going to go with spaghetti spoon because it's two S's and it rolls off the tongue.
It's been named. I like it. So outside of just nice edible noodles, do you have any good pool noodle stories, Jackson?
Oh, okay, all right. One time, I would have been maybe fifth or sixth grade, but I'm out at the pool for the summer, and they've got a hose in the deep end, and there was just no one there, so I'm bored trying to entertain myself, and I get a couple of kickboards that were laying around for swim lessons, and then one of the it's not a weight, but like the water weights that they'll use for like water aerobics classes. The one of the weight parts had fallen off, and so there's just the hole sticking out. So I used the kickboards plus the hole to then make like a little fountain in the deep end of the pool that just kind of free floated.
Sweet.
And so yeah, you use the pool noodle through the top of the like where the hose was coming out. So then that way it kind of made a little more of like a moving fountain and not just like a spray up. And then yeah, since you had the foam end, you were able to put different things into like we put like a water gun nozzle that had broken off into it, so then it came out as like a bit more of like a spray cone instead of just a like a tube of water. So yeah. I don't know. That's probably the best.
That sounds like a lifeguard story. Were you a lifeguard?
I was.
I could believe it. I knew it. I don't know if I knew that before today, but I was like, it's got to be a lifeguard story.
Yeah, from all through high school up until first year of college.
Very nice.
It was a good summer job.
Lifeguard at the Y?
It was at a local pool in town.
Very nice.
Did you ever save anyone's life?
I did not. Thankfully, there was one close call, but I mean, I guess not close call, but it was just the dad. I'm scanning the pool, and so while I'm scanning, I happen to be looking the other direction from where this kid's jumping off the diving board, and so the kid jumps off and kind of panics, and so the older brother swims over and gets him real quick, and so it's like, I mean, before anything can even happen, like kid's already safe and taken care of, but the dad saw him panic and saw that I wasn't looking. And just starts like, I mean, going and like just yelling at me about how I'm not doing my job. His kid could have died. All these things. But yeah, thankfully, I mean, everyone else was like, nah. I mean, if he was really worried about his kid, he would have hopped in and not stood there and his button down and whatever else. Like, so they were like, don't worry. But that was probably the closest call I've had to having to save somebody, but thankfully did not have to, because that
Very
was
nice.
a very stressful experience.
Yeah, I know. We've recently been to some Great Wolf Lodge, and the lifeguards there are just hyper vigilant all the time. And they do a lot of. It seems like about every hour they test. Like one of the senior lifeguards throws a dummy baby in the water, and
It looks like a baby.
it looks like a baby, and it's floating upside down. And I mean, they go in, they dive in and do a full rescue, and they get.
Do they do like the mouth to mouth and compressions on the baby?
Well, they don't do that, but they seem to get penalized if they don't spot it fast enough. And I mean, it's pretty impressive process they got there at the Great Wolf Lodge. So vigilant.
It sounds like a new way to gamble. You know, you and your the adults while the kids are swimming. You just hey, what is the over under on this guy? Getting penalized.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, Jackson, thank you so much. You're the first guest on the Fun Hog podcast, so thank you for joining us. I know you've got your people to get to. Appreciate you joining us and dropping some knowledge about noodles and your love for noodles. Hopefully you love noodles. You seem like you do.
I do.
You love making noodles, at least, and eating them. But just thank you so much for joining us today.
Jackson, this is probably going to be heard by maybe a handful of listeners. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for your first Fun Hog podcast appearance?
I mean, I guess shout out to my dad for helping me get into cooking some. So
awesome! You have to share the podcast with him and let us know what he says.
Okay, no, I can definitely do that. Well, definitely, I appreciate y'all having me. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks for being
Appreciate
on, man.
you, Jackson. Your kid throws the boomerang, he catches it. There's screaming.
Right. Yeah. So I'm in the backyard, or I'm in the bedroom journaling. I just hear screaming in the backyard, but it's the happy screaming. And this is before school this morning, and it's just an odd sound. But then, sure enough, I hear the back door swing open. He's like, "I did it!" And sure enough, he had caught the boomerang. So I snapped a quick picture of him with his boomerang, and yeah, I mean, it's just what an incredible memory. Boomerangs. I should have gotten him one forever ago, but it's been super fun.
Poke your eye out. Well, they won't poke your eye out. They might slice your hand. So it's plastic, so it's probably not going to hurt too much. Is this like a swoosh type boomerang, or is this like a plus? I've seen some plus boomerang.
Yeah, it's more of a plus. Yeah, with
Nice.
some kind of bent tips on the edges. I'll grab a picture of it and
Nice.
add it in. But
Yeah, let us know where you can buy our boomerangs. That'd be great.
yeah, I'm almost certain it was Amazon. So wherever boomerangs are sold. So, Butch, what's your Fun Hog moment for the week?
So my Fun Hog moment came from a family meeting. And we're in the middle of it right now. We just went shopping. So the family meeting topic was how can we stretch $20? And we focused on buying a meal for us. And as we looked at the different options, the kids decided let's do spaghetti. So we're gonna go make some noodles. It's not gonna be the fancy noodles that Jackson makes, but it'll be the store bought. Let's crack them over the boiling pot, and we're gonna have spaghetti tonight. And we did it for $20, and it was quite the experience. I think my oldest was like kind of into it. My next youngest son was pretty much like, I'm out. He's like, this is not for me. Like, I want to just give me a pizza and we'll be good. I'm like, well, let's like cook something together. And the girls, they loved it. They were into it. They were into negotiating. So we're going to have spaghetti noodles, spaghetti sauce. We got some ground turkey we're going to add in there. We did get some salt because I'm like, you got to have some kind of seasoning. We got a pack of Parmesan cheese, the kind that was, the cold kind versus the sprinkle kind, because like it's actually cheaper. Crazy. At least it was at the Aldi we shopped at, and then we got carrots for a vegetable, and we got green beans for a vegetable. Carrots, like baby carrots. That's what our family does. We don't do the hot carrots. They don't like it soft. They want it crunchy. And small and baby, And then the splurge item, we were able to fit in a 6-pack of Snicker ice cream bars.
Ooh, I thought you were gonna go a box of brownies, but
No, we went with like pre-made ice cream Snickers. Like, so I think that's going to be the highlight that all the kids are excited about. So, um,
so you're eating like kings for $20.
$20, yeah, imagine that. We changed it up a little bit. Instead of like deciding and going to the store and figuring all that out, we actually went shopping online, and then Dad went out and bought the stuff, and they're going to cook it here in the next couple minutes. So it's a good day.
Awesome. Well, hopefully the kiddos learn something about just the price of things too, right? I think.
Yes.
I mean, prices are changing a lot at the grocery stores, but yeah.
Thankfully, Aldi's still pretty reasonable. So we didn't. If we would have gone to Costco, it's like you pick one thing, right? Or you go to a Walmart even. But we're able to, I think, get 8 items altogether, including the little salt shaker for $20. So, well, let's get back to Noodles. We talked. Jackson shared his pool noodle story. I've got a pool noodle story that is a lot of fun to me, but it doesn't require the pool. But it's another one of those we're gonna call it a Fun Hog approved game,
Okay.
and it's a game that is a mixture of a bunch of games. This is created by me, so I feel good about this. The name is Schlagball. Probably mispronounced that, but it's Schlag is German for strike, and we had pool noodles, we had giant beach balls, except beach balls that are like a little thicker than the ones that you can just like sit on and explode. And what we did is, we played this with our kids student group at church. We had the students group up, they paired up. So I was like, hey, go find a friend. So hopefully it's somebody kind of in their group. And then I gave each pair a number. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, split them up. And in the middle, we had a giant beach ball. And in the halfway in the middle, we would drop 2 pool noodles. And these aren't your like, thin, weak pool noodles that you can like, tie into a pretzel. These are the kind that like you can kind of bend to about a 90-degree angle. And like you could break it, but it's going to break if you go like, 180 or whatever.
So a good stiff, like good for beating up your
stiff,
little brother.
Real thick. I mean, it was probably the size of like, it was probably like size of a Stanley Cup, holding in your hand. Think about that.
Like the Stanley Cup, the hockey thing?
Like Stanley Cup, the the fancy cups that it's all the trend.
I thought
nowadays.
that was all for middle school girls. Do you have a Stanley?
Hey, I actually have an Ozark Trail Cup. If you're on the stream, you get to see it here. And this was before Stanley was ever, impressive. This doesn't have a handle, but this joker costs $4.88 on clearance at Walmart, like 8 years ago, and I love it.
I'm trying to remember the name of mine. I also have an off-brand one. Mine's like Yukon or what is it? Something like that.
So, just think Stanley Cup size of the pool noodle. And here's how it works. You split up in pairs, they get numbers, and it's similar to Steal the Bacon. So if you played Steal the Bacon, you kind of know what's coming. You never played Steal the Bacon?
I don't know Steal the Bacon, no.
Oh my goodness, man. Steal the Bacon is where you put like a bacon or an object in the middle. You call the number, and the goal is, both sides come run to the middle, and one of them has to grab the bacon or the item and make it back to their line before getting tagged. So it's kind of like, if you're the first one there, you can grab it and just like jet back to your side and you're safe. But if like you both get there at the same time, it's kind of like a standoff, and you gotta like juke people or like circle it and figure out a way to kind of get the bacon back to your side. So if you make it all the way back, you get a point. If you get tagged, the other person gets a point. So it's pretty exciting. But this is a little different. Instead of like stealing the bacon, you have to pick up the pool noodle and schlag, strike the beach ball to the other side. So you're not trying to get it to your side, you're trying to get it to the enemy side or your opponent's side. And it was quite the fun. No one got hurt. I was really scared for a little bit because it was there was some folks, you get some like ninth, 10th, 11th grade boys, 12th grade boys, and they're like, they're going to win. And they're, body blocking and just, it was a lot of fun. But Schlag Ball, you can mix it up where you can have like, you call two numbers. So if you have enough pool noodles, you can like do a tag team. We had a ton of fun. Fun Hog approved game. Go out. We'll create a new post.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you committed to writing up this game? Because
I'm committed to writing it up. I actually got it written up on a notepad. So
great. I'm more of a visual person. I could use a picture of it too.
I'll do my best.
Love it. I don't have any good pool noodle stories that are coming to mind.
Well, what other noodle stories you got?
I was thinking about a great restaurant in Birmingham, Nothing But Noodles. Ate
a lot of Nothing But Noodles in my time.
It's pretty quick service for anybody who's unfamiliar. So it's a really nice lunch spot, quick dinner, reasonably priced, so you can get noodles quick. I just have always been really impressed by the name, Nothing But Noodles. I've actually got a great business idea I'd like to share with our listeners. I've always had that. I think it was the very first time I saw Nothing But Noodles. I thought to myself, what if you don't want noodles? Which most days I would eat noodles, but I think it'd be really cool if right next door to it they opened Everything But Noodles. And it just I think as you were sitting there thinking, what do I want for lunch today? You'd think, well, I either want noodles or I want not noodles. And so, yeah, I think it's really a missed business opportunity. Next to every Nothing But Noodles, there should be an Everything But Noodles.
So what would be on your menu? Give me an example. Two or three, top menu items.
Top menu items.
Are we talking like barbecue? We talking about steak? We talking about like...
I think you just go smorgasbord. I think you have the most eclectic menu imaginable. You got peanut butter and jelly, mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese is noodles.
Ooh, good point. No mac and cheese. We got ribs. We've got hamburgers, French fries. We've got vegetables.
Pies? We have to have pies, right?
Pies, yeah.
Some kind of pie, like banana cream pie. That sounds good.
Or maybe, what if you just did things that go on noodles really well? Like, so you go into Nothing But Noodles actually has chicken that goes in the noodles and whatnot.
So you'd have like a chicken parmesan, but no noodles. It's all like, crushed crackers or something.
Yeah. Maybe that's how you do it. You do the same as like a noodle dish, but you make the
But
noodles.
it's gluten-free. That would be like the ultimate gluten-free location, right? You got your Nothing But Noodles, and then you got your everything that goes in noodles but not noodles.
There you go. Yeah. I've never really studied the whole gluten thing very, very well. It's any kind of byproduct of flour? Is that the general idea?
I think it's like wheat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It seems to be a much bigger thing, and there's people who have very high sensitivity to gluten that it causes very severe reactions. But at least some of the stuff I've read suggests that many people would benefit by limiting their gluten intake. Have you ever explored that at all?
I have. I've gone like bread free for a little bit, just trying to cut down on carbs. But my wife and my oldest son, they're gluten free. Now I would say like oldest son is not like 100% gluten free. He does have gluten in his diet, but it's very limited. So we'll always go to the gluten free option 99% of the time. But if there's like some chicken nuggets that might have a little gluten in the flour, like he'll go with that. So sometimes he pays for it, but for the most part, we've adapted a lot of our diets around some of that here at the Mayhew House.
So you seem at least very well versed in kind of what has gluten like. If you were to go gluten free, what would you miss the most? What's your favorite form of gluten?
Bread,
just
or
straight
any
bread,
kind of cake. Or brownies. They do have like gluten-free brownie mix, so we do that, and they have gluten-free muffins. But anything in that bread family, bread is good, man. Bread and cereal, like, but there is some like a lot of the Cheerios is gluten free, but there's a lot of most cereals are not gluten free. So
It makes me wonder what's in Cheerios.
I could tell you another day when I go look it up.
Another noodle thought. Have you ever had a wet noodle handshake?
I feel like I have, but I always thought like the wet. Is it a handshake? I always thought like what is it called, like a wet noodle? I always thought it's like you lick your pinky and you put it in somebody's ear. Is that not like a wet willy?
That's a wet willy.
Okay, but you're talking about a. What did you say?
I thought it was a wet noodle handshake.
A wet noodle? I mean, there's probably a noodle handshake where you just you you got some balloons coming up, I guess, with your hands. It's where your hand comes out, somebody grabs it, and it's all just like there's no stiffness at all.
Yeah. What do you call that?
I just a noodle handshake. I mean, a wet maybe is sweaty. I think you're making stuff up.
Yeah,
a wet noodle handshake.
Yeah, there's a.
Is that your calling card? Is that how you introduce yourself?
No, I have a somewhat proper handshake, but I thought that was the term for it. Maybe I misplaced
Maybe it's not. Listeners, let us know. Fact check us. We need your help. So what about a wet noodle handshake?
That was everything I thought of. Maybe I was thinking, is that the right name for it?
Have you ever had one?
I've really met some people that, it's just like they put their hand in yours and then they don't add any force.
They don't do anything. It's just out there. It's weird.
It takes two to handshake is you can't, like little kids tend to do it.
Do you squeeze harder in that situation, or do you just like let it be awkward and just pull away? What's the proper etiquette?
What's the protocol?
Like, do you try to crush their hand?
I don't know what the protocol is.
Like it depends on if it's your aunt or if it's like another dude, right?
Right. If it's a guy, I think you gotta let him know what's up. Maybe give him a little shoulder bump or something. Just like that wasn't good.
Nice. Well, I have experienced it. I think I've just typically just tried to get it over as quick as possible and then not make eye contact. That's how I go about it.
How do we exit this situation?
That's right. Well, when I was thinking about noodles, one thing that is near and dear to my kids' hearts, and this started probably a lot of their show picks, or when the way they consume audio, video, videos. There's this guy. This was 5 years ago at this point. We were staying in a condo. We were on vacation. It was in the summer, and they had a smart TV. And we're like, oh, cool. And they had all these channels. I'm like, I've never seen these channels before. And we came across one channel that was a Minecraft channel. My kids are big into Minecraft. So they turned it on, and the guy that was playing was named Think Noodle. And this guy, he's got like millions of subscribers on YouTube. I think he does a lot of like Roblox content now. I can't really speak for that, but all of the YouTube content that we saw on that vacation, we were really excited about because we saw this guy who, was clean, and he was playing these like Minecraft worlds, but it was these Minecraft worlds with like a bunch of mods. So it wasn't just like vanilla. It was like all these crazy things could happen, all these bugs and all these different ways to collect things. And he played with a group of people, and that really started like my kids starting to watch like video game streams or people playing video games for their like show picks in the morning. Because we allow like our kids to basically pick shows while the parents are still sleeping. I don't know if anybody else does that, but it's like, go get your breakfast, fix you a drink, watch some TV shows, and when we're awake, we'll come talk to you. Don't come to us, So, but yeah, we've had a lot of fun watching Think Noodles over the years, and it made me think of noodles.
Yeah, am not familiar with Think Noodle. That sounds interesting. Are you familiar with Go Noodle?
When I was searching, I did a little bit of research on the noodles, and I found Go Noodle, and I was like, I can get behind this.
We did a Go Noodle one time. We sent it to you. Remember when we did the family dance off? That was Go Noodle.
Okay, I didn't even remember that. But when I found Go Noodle, I was like, this is really cool. Which Go Noodle did you send us? Do you remember?
That was, I remember it had a sticky, sticky waffle. Hey, a milkshake. It was that one.
I don't remember that. I remember it very briefly. Very briefly.
This was like during this was during COVID when we were all just scrambling to have meaningful relationships at all.
I'm there's a big blur. My memory doesn't work well. But I did go on there and I found my new favorite. And it's called Squatchy Rock.
Squatchy Rock.
Squatchy Rock. And it's this like squatchy guy that, he does a bunch of moves. It's more like get up and move exercise.
Yeah.
Dance. But it's good, man.
Yeah.
It's good.
Go Noodle's a good time. I got some listener feedback.
All right.
This is going to take us down a little trail here, but we're just going to go with it. All right.
Giddy up.
So one of our listeners, he was asking for your contact information. And I said, I have Butch's contact information. I'm not sure if we're ready to put that out, just for just any old listener. He'd probably approve for this listener, but we'll decide by the end of the story here. So he mentioned, I said, well, why are you trying to contact Butch? Butch is a very busy man. He has lots of obligations. He just doesn't take
protecting my time.
Yeah, we've got lots of listeners here. We can't answer every single inquiry. But he said you had introduced him to Guy on a Buffalo.
Oh, buddy.
And he said he introduced it to his boys, and they had just a phenomenal time enjoying Guy on a Buffalo. I was hoping I could watch it before this because I've seen it before, but I don't know it as well as you do. So why don't you tell everybody what is Guy on a Buffalo? Why should they watch?
100% you should watch Guy on a Buffalo. I'm actually reintroducing this to my girls who don't remember it when I introduced it to my boys. So they're 10 and 8, so they're going to be remembering. And Guy on a Buffalo is it's a music video or a trio. I guess there's 4 technically. A quad. What do you call a trio? A quad?
Quartet.
Quartet. A quartet of music videos that have been put out by a band that I don't know their names. I should know. That's sad on me. But if you Google Guy on a Buffalo, scroll past the Zaxby's commercial because that's like new-ish. Ignore that. Go to where you see like the 1970s-ish video, still kind of fuzzy, and there's 4 parts, and part 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 3, 2 basically is the way it's broken out. Or maybe there's 5. I don't know. Fact check me again. Brain's fuzzy, but pretty much this band took this movie and they created their own story and their own song based off of like different parts in the movie. So, and they're telling a story about this guy on a buffalo who does all this different stuff. And really, you just need to go watch it. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say it is quite entertaining. It's got a nice jingle to it. You can go download the song, put it on your ringtone as a phone. People do that. It's a whole nother conversation. People don't really do ringtones anymore, but I'm still one that enjoys the ringtone,
Yeah, you and David Williams. David Williams, wherever you are, I know you still have your ringtone on.
So good. Yeah, I used to pay 99 cents for a ringtone. That was me back in the day.
I
figured out how to do it for free.
Yeah, I had Sweet Child of Mine on my Nokia with Snake. Man, those are the good old days.
So, all right, did you have a ringtone that would play out loud, or did you have like the callback where somebody's calling you, it would play the song?
I did have both of those, there, but
buddy.
mostly I have fonder memories of the actual ringtone.
because that's what you heard.
Because it was "Sweet Child of Mine" in like MIDI. I mean, man, that was good.
So good. So Gown of Buffalo, it's a musical masterpiece, but the way they cut in the video and the lyrics and the story they put together, it is fantastic. My favorite part is actually in part 2, and it's when the guy goes hunting. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But this Gown of Buffalo and his buffalo, they're both, there's I'll say they are attacked, and the way they respond is fantastic. So
there you go, Guy in a Buffalo. Go check it out. Butch, the specific inquiry from our listener was apparently after he watched it, there were like the related videos or whatnot was an interview of the Guy in a Buffalo. And have you seen this interview?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
He was saying surely Butch has seen it,
Yes.
but if he hasn't, it's absolute must watch.
So we'll link those. We'll go find we'll create a Gown of Buffalo video playlist. Have it all in one place for you.
There you go. All right, we'll link it up for you.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Noodles, but there's a Gown of Buffalo.
I think it's related by listener feedback. Every episode
Listener feedback. I love it. I love it.
It's in the Fun Hog ether of discussion space because of prior episodes.
Nice. Yeah. So going back to listener feedback, I will say, I actually had some listener feedback or just maybe some listener comments. I know you were talking about, the trip you plan on the 10-year-old birthday trip where it's like, hey, blank slate, here's the constraints, go do it. So guy I work with, he actually tried to do that with his kid. I think he maybe, he basically said it's not going to happen this summer, but they're going to try to do it next summer. But he kind of threw the idea out there and said, hey, let's do something, put some kind of loose constraints. And there was just indecision from the child. So I think it is probably very difficult for, someone who's a preteen to make these decisions on you can do anything. The world is your oyster. Let's go figure this out. So he said he's going to try to give seed some ideas and do a little better planning and make that trip happen next week. So you've inspired somebody.
That's awesome.
I want to share that.
Yeah, I just want to encourage them. I mean, you've got to meet each kid where they're at, right? So, hey, let's break it down. What are 10 fun activities that you enjoy doing, right? And just, hey, let's get this up on a whiteboard. If you're, it's really intimidating.
Bring it to the whiteboard.
Well, a whiteboard, whatever, a blank piece of paper. I've got a whiteboard right here, so that's what I was kind of pointing at. But I do think that's really important, is to meet each kid where they are. If they're very proficient and they want to kind of execute their own plan, great. Just let them, take the reins and run with it. But the goal is not to intimidate your kids. It's a lot like you were sharing earlier with your, how far can you stretch $20 as a family activity? Great. If a kid wants to be really involved and it's just caught their attention, great. Meet them there. If they're a little bit less, then maybe nudge them if you feel like it's just lazy resistance. But it's just not worth it to drag them along or make them do something that's going to make them miserable. So love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I also got some more, I guess, feedback. I mean,
there's lots of listeners out there.
Yeah, we love it. All 4 or 8 of y'all.
How many start reading mean tweets before we're too much longer.
We appreciate it. He really challenged me to think about what is our target audience. I'm like, what is our target audience? We just really started this thing as a conversation, and we're just like, let's see where this goes. And then we came up with this word thing, and it's been, something to talk about. But I do think we do have a target audience, and this person helped me see what is our target audience. Do you want to take a stab? What do you think our target audience is?
I would say our target audience is parents between the age of 20 and 50 who are trying to live intentionally and could use some chuckles, maybe appreciate stories from the 90s with a bit of a bent towards how they apply today to family life.
Nice. I think like we just need to type that up and put it out there because that is perfect. When this gentleman was talking to me, he was letting me know it's like it's really y'all's target audience is like families, it's people with kids. The stories y'all talk about, the things y'all do, it's living life. Parents, or I guess that 20 to 50. That's a nice broad range. Maybe 55. I guess depending on are you which generation do you kind of associate with more? But I think that's it, man. Like I think that is our audience, and that's what. Hopefully y'all enjoy it. If you're outside of that range, you let us know.
Have your kids listened to the podcast?
Maybe. I think I did listen to it once on a car ride. It was like number one or number two, but yeah, I mean they will if I'm around, but I don't think they're going to be like, Dad, let me download the podcast and put on my MP3 player. They're not gonna go that far.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme. Yeah, if I tell my kids that I told a story about them, then sometimes they're like, ooh,
nice.
But they want me to link them to exactly where in the episode. Future narcissists.
Yeah, we got to really think about that. I will say, yeah, I will say, if you're a parent out there and this is helpful, let us know. Reach out to us. Send me or Matt a message on one of our socials or through our Substack.
Contact Matt, and I'll give you Butch's cell phone number.
Sounds great. There you go. Awesome. You got anything else?
Final is a great question to end our noodle discussion. So noodles, I did a little research, a little fuzzy on exactly when, but they've been around for a long time, right? So way back in the BC days, we've had noodles for several thousand years at this point. How do you think the world would be different if noodles were never invented?
Well, we wouldn't have that. We would not have forever pasta days at Olive Garden. What is that? Never-ending pasta?
Yeah,
that would be. I mean, that is a thing of memes out there.
Would Italy even be a country? I don't think we'd have Italy if there weren't noodles.
Yeah, I mean, Italian food would be way different. I mean, I would assume probably a lot of spicy sausage and stuff. Maybe it'd be like the man meat capital of the world. I think about man meat, like spicy sausages, just things you cook on a grill. It seems like the Italians make that stuff, right? They make sausage.
Yeah, Italian sausage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't have noodles. Like I can't just eat sausage by itself.
Yeah.
Like I gotta have a nice padding of carbs, to go with it.
I think the world would be a much worse place without noodles.
I agree.
Much.
I mean, they wouldn't have that. So, noodle in pop culture. You've seen the movie Elf, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the elf kind of he cooks the huge bag of noodles and pours syrup all over it. Man, that scene would not exist without noodles. That would be very sad.
Elf wouldn't exist. I mean, it'd be a tough world. I don't want to live in this world without noodles. All right, one last noodle story that just came to my mind. I saw a video the other day of a guy. I mean, people are so creative. It's just amazing. So he kind of had this metal contraption up above him, and he was testing out how many noodles would hold his body weight. And so he does and he falls onto this padded thing that's maybe 20 feet below or something. So he tests it, he does some obvious ones that'll fail, like 10 and 100 and 1,000. But he's getting up to like 10,000 noodles, and he's like, it's holding. And they start slowly breaking. And,
these are like non-cooked noodles.
Yeah, these are just like standard kind of thin spaghetti noodles. So he's got them duct taped around to kind of reinforce the strength. So There's just so many cool things that you can do with noodles. I'm just really grateful for noodle inventors back in the BC days, somewhere in China area. Thanks so much.
We
for
appreciate you, creator of noodles.
Yeah. What a gift for humanity. What a gift.
Wonderful. Awesome. Do we want to go get our spin the wheel?
Oh, we got to spin the wheel.
We got to spin the wheel.
Spin that
Right.
wheel.
Here we go. Let's see what we got here. See if we can get this.
Into focus.
I readjusted some stuff.
Oh, you got Noodle on there still, bud.
I know Noodle's still on there.
Oh.
Here, just
You're
ignore that.
You're really confident you're not going to respin Noodle.
I am. We don't double whammy on stuff. You ready? If we do, I owe you like $5 or something.
Got
How
it.
about that?
I'm cheering for Yahtzee.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Porch.
That is porch.
Porch.
Is the word of the week for next week.
What's the very first thing that comes to mind for porch?
It's probably hanging out
Hanging
on the
out.
porch, on the front porch specifically.
Yeah, I think about a porch swing.
Yep. Hanging out on the porch swing in the front yard,
Yeah,
on the front porch. It's going to be great.
gonna be
We're
epic.
going to bring our stories. We're going to do our research. Maybe we'll have a guest. We'll have to think about ideas for a porch guest.
a porch guest. Maybe we can get someone who has a Porsche. We'll start kind of pushing the envelope there. But yeah, our first ever guest episode. Man, this is a milestone. Episode 6 here. We've got 4 more episodes that Butch has been licensed for.
That we have hard committed
Yeah,
to.
Butch's
I'll do
contract is at least 4 more episodes, and we'll see if he continues on the podcast.
that. Yep. One more update. I did do. I had one run since our last recording. I know the time in between was pretty small, but I ran until my shins hurt. It was about at the 0.6 miles is kind of where the shins started hurting, and I did not continue on to the mile and a half that we talked about, but that is in the cards for the next time I'm out. I was a bit time constrained to finish my run. I had to get the girls to bed. So
It happens, man.
yeah, family priorities sometimes get in the way of your plans, your hopes and dreams. It's not really hope and dream, but your plans. We'll say that.
Yeah. Hey, there's 2 keys to success: make a plan and adjust the plan.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so you
I'll
made the
report
plan.
back next week. I'm going to keep going with the 1.5 mile run until my shin fire kind of kicks up, and don't push it too hard. But hopefully we can. That shin fire will slowly go away as we continue to exercise those muscles.
Love it. Love it. I'm going to be thinking about making some noodles. I can't commit because Abigail just made a grocery run, so I don't want to, steal
It's
her
like
thunder.
flour and flour and egg. You got this.
I'm not going to just go in there and commandeer and say, "Hey, I'm cooking tonight."
You have to do it for like a lunch when you cook a lunch one day.
A little solo noodle experiment.
Yeah,
We'll see.
A noodle experiment. That's what you could call
We'll see.
it.
We'll see.
Awesome. Well, let's shut this thing down. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time with us. I'm Butch.
I'm Matt. Go forth and hog some
some
fun.
fun.